Oh, the holiday season. It really does take on a sort of a different feeling as you get older. Have you noticed that? I know I have. It just doesn't have that same sort of magic. And by magic, I mean getting awesome toys and games. I guess what I'm trying to say is, as a kid, we all had that. I mean, I guess you could say Christmas was literally the time of year where we all looked forward to. It was like the whole year revolved around this season for a lot of us out there. And I think the pinnacle of the holiday season, at least for me, was these wish books right here. These, well, this is Sears, but they came in all sorts. These are the things that us kids back in the 80s and 90s would pick out, circle what we would want for Christmas, and then hopefully get it. These things had everything from toys to video games to just everyday items that, just parents and stuff would like clothes, house stuff, kitchen utensils, anything that you could possibly imagine were in these things. But as kids, all we cared about were the video games and the toys. Whenever I'm out, I'm always trying to find these, and I don't usually do come across them because most people threw them away. Once, they came out, a few times a year, and once that time of year was past, these things were useless, so they were usually thrown away. So they're kind of hard to find. But anyway, I have 3 of them. Let's take a look and see what's inside. All right, so the first one we're going to look at here is the 1993 Spring Summer Annual. So this came out in the summer of 1993. Yeah. Ugh. Of all the pages to open it up, I opened it up on that one. These things are like time capsules. You're just looking into decades past, and you just see all the things that were for sale, from cars to exercise equipment to stereos, radios, phones, obsolete machinery that we don't even use anymore, like answering machines, and all this stuff. It's just really fun to look at, especially the console TVs. I look back at these console TVs and I'm like, okay, these are the console TVs that I grew up with. And in fact, wow, that one actually looks really familiar. Where have I seen that one before? We have a few computers here. We got an IBM and a Macintosh and Apple. Okay, so here we go. This is the summer of 1993. So the Super Nintendo had been out in North America going on 2 years. The Super Nintendo was $100 right there. $100. That's pretty damn good price for a Super Nintendo. Funny thing is, though, the original NES was still at $89. So it wasn't much of a price difference right here between a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo, which I find kind of odd. Now, when I'm looking through these, one of the fun things to do is actually read. Yeah, I know, right? Read. But the descriptions of some of these games are hilarious. Here we have Mega Man 3. Defeat a gang of hideous robot monsters. From Dr. Wily. Hideous. I don't know. I've never really thought about the robots as being hideous. I've thought them as being dangerous and devious, maybe, unscrupulous. But hideous? I always thought a few of them were quite handsome, actually. I don't know. Of all the adjectives for them to pick, I just find the fact that they used hideous is kind of odd. I don't know. So we have Super Mario Land here. Mario Land being one word. It's Mario Land. So Mario now has his own land. It's not Mario Land, it's Mario Land. I guess it was his land so long that they actually named it after him. So it's Mario Land. It's not really. They just fucked up. Now this one actually pisses me off. Super Mario Bros. 2. Mario. On an adventure in the world of dreams? In the world of dreams, you're gonna spoil it for me? Why would you do that? Why would you spoil the ending of the game? We didn't know it was a dream world until the very end. And, well, unless we read this description before we bought your damn game. So, well, not your game, but a game from you. Sears, you dropped the ball on that. You don't spoil the game's ending. That's one of the more infamous surprise endings for any game in that era, and you're gonna spoil it here in your description. I'm gonna I wish I could go back in time and just tell you off. It really doesn't piss me off that much. I just find it kind of funny. Oh, but you mother. Here we have Link to the Past. Battle monsters when an evil magician takes over the kingdom. Was Ganon a magician? I mean, I guess he had magic, but I don't... Is he classified as a magician? This is such a horrible, horrible drawing of Mario. I just hate it so bad. I really am being serious. I don't like this drawing of Mario. I think it's poorly done. Most of these prices range in the $59 to $49 range for a video game, which, you know, is comparable to games today. Not really. Because if you think about it, you have to consider inflation a big part of it. So... like I said before, inflation from around the 90s area, early 90s till now, is roughly double. So a lot of these games back then were the equivalent of $80 to $100 and sometimes more. I believe Street Fighter 2, when it came out, was, $67. So that's the equivalent of, what, like $130 now, roughly? I mean, that is really expensive. So if you think about it, we complain about game prices these days, but really game prices have come down or just maintained their value as inflation is raised. So that leaves you thinking a little bit now, doesn't it? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Oh, all right, here in the next page we have, of course, the Sega section. We got everything from Game Gear to the Genesis to the brand new. They're trying to really push this, the Sega CD, at $300, $600 back then. Look, I'll be honest, as a kid, I would usually skip the Sega section. I'm sorry. And it's no surprise I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Oh, we've reached the end. And we got camcorders now. So yeah, so there you have it, the Sears 1993 Summer and Spring. I don't remember this one particularly. I don't think we had it. This next one... we did, though, and I remember it distinctly. Now, this is the fall of 1992. Sears, once again. I was actually able to find this one at an antique store for about $15 a few years ago. Now, look, I'm going to be completely honest here. The only real reason I remember this and remember that we had this one specifically is the front cover. Juliet was my girlfriend for 3 months in the fall of that year, up until we broke up when my mom threw the magazine away. This might be the same one. It is worn out. Alright, we open it up to a big, spanking, just, hey, here it is, Super Nintendo, buy this. And we got some classic games right here in the front, just staring you right in the face, saying, buy me. And man, I must have circled a few of those things. Come to think of it, when it came to like requesting a game, most of the time I was requesting it because I read about it in Nintendo Power. While I did see some stuff in here that I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be cool to have too. A lot of it was just from Nintendo Power. I did see a lot of toys in these things. Oh man, these things were full of toys. Not these issues though. I was making fun of some of the descriptions in the previous one, but this one right here is actually pretty awesome. We have the game ActRaiser, which is one of my favorite, and it says you're a supreme being molding a new universe. That makes me want to play the game and just kind of really think about what I'm doing. Man, I'm shaping a universe here. It goes beyond this little small world. Now, their NES section is kind of lacking in my opinion. Not the best game selection, especially here at the bottom. We've got Vanna White, Wheel of Fortune. Now look, I actually do kind of like the Wheel of Fortune games on the NES. I think they're kind of underrated. And you know, I can't spell, but I can play those games. I don't know why. But come on, Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego? Oh, boy. Where's Waldo? One of the worst pieces of trash on the Nintendo. Absolutely worst. I would rather play Dash Galaxy and the Alien Asylum, and because at least that's a game. You're doing things in it. You're not doing anything in Where's Waldo. Not a damn thing. Except just getting eye strain and wondering who in the hell would have thought up this, and why the hell are you wasting your time playing it? Huh, okay, here we go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Look at the description on this one. Travel from Florida to outer space and back? Okay, Granted, that's probably the one Ninja Turtle game I've played the least, but I don't think you go to outer space. You go to outer space in Turtles in Time, we all know that, but in Turtles 3, maybe I haven't got that far in the game. I've gotten pretty far. Maybe does that happen like on the last stage or something? Because I haven't beat that game, but I don't think I don't think you go into outer space. I can't see any scenario why you would. You're trying to save Manhattan. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, then I'm certainly going to get called out. All right, so the next page we have here is more Game Boy stuff, and wow, just only one page dedicated to the Sega systems. And by Sega systems, I mean the Genesis. My sister got a Sega Genesis, so she would have probably looked through this and maybe circled a few things. But me, nah. When it came to the Genesis, I was like, that's cool and all, trying to make my Nintendo look like a punk. I didn't appreciate it. I didn't appreciate Sonic and his stupid tood. Still don't appreciate it to this day. I think he's an asshole. Now this kid, however, playing the Game Boy. Now that's somebody I can get behind. That didn't sound right. Playing your Game Boy with literally the raddest haircut known to man. Those are the rad kids that played Nintendo products. Right there. Those are the badasses. Those are the people we wanted to be. Alright? Not some dork playing the Sega. Alright, now on the next page we have some stuff dedicated to the booming, still somewhat new CD-ROM technology in PCs. I kind of like this era. We did have a computer and we were able to play CD-ROM based things on that. Unfortunately, a lot of it was educational crap, like encyclopedias and tours around the world and geography and all this other garbage, which actually gives me nostalgia thinking about it, but at the time they were just absolutely terrible games. But at the time, it was such a cool new technology, you didn't really care. I didn't care. I was still just putting in those CDs, and I don't even remember where they came from. It was nothing that I requested. I wasn't being like, hey, give me Encyclopedia Britannica Goes to Africa or something. These things would just appear, and I still don't know how. My mom had to have something to do with it, but it was still cool to put those things in and see the full motion video and all the graphics and the cool computer stuff. It was really new at the time. Believe me, much rather be playing Mario or something, or Turtles in Time, or Street Fighter, or Mortal Kombat. But looking back, I have some kind of fond memories with that stuff, as cheesy as that may sound. And we did have a few games for it, too, but it's one of those things where I still can't remember the names. Maybe one day I'll be able to remember them. One was like a time travel game. It was an actual game, not time travel where you go back and learn shit, but like you're on this space station and you got to try to figure out how to get off. So yeah, it was. When I look back and see these, it jogs a lot of my memories in that era, early mid '90s. You think you're done with the video game stuff, going through the TV section, all of a sudden you come across something that jumps right out at you. It's a tiger, in fact, and it's a CDI. To me, it totally looks like what they're trying to do here is a marketing strategy. They're trying to separate it from the other video game stuff and make it look like it's maybe, better or different from just this standard video game system. But man, they were really trying to pump this thing up and kind of make it look like, hey, this is its own technology. This is something new. This is the future here. All those other things, those Super Nintendos and those Sega Genesises that you saw on those pages previously, those are for kiddies. This right here is the future. This is the CDI. Oh, and by the way, it's only going to be $799. So $1,600 in today's money. So it'd be like if a console came out today and was $1,600. Would you buy it? You probably wouldn't buy it, would you? Nobody had this thing. I know no one back in the day who ever had one. There was no kid on my street that owned a CDI. But let's see what kind of games they've showcased on here. Oh man, we got Dark Castle. This is literally one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. Hands down. So there we have it, the Sears 1992 Fall Winter Annual, to be thrown away in January of 1993. Now this one I'm excited about because we actually are going back down a year to 1991 to 1992. I got this thing off of eBay, just got this thing. $10 shipped. Very excited to get this thing for super cheap. Let's take a look. All right, first gaming stuff we come across is Game Boy with that same child looking like a badass. This was before, so I guess this is where he originated. This is his origin story, actually, right here. All right, so we got some NES stuff. Wow, they're really going to lay this out pretty far, because like this is actually when Super Nintendo is out. So if they're dedicating all of this to the NES, then the next page should be, what the hell is going on? Are you telling me? Okay, we got 3 pages of video game stuff in here. We got 3 pages of video game stuff in here. I'm missing something here. I gotta be missing something. There's 3. Did not tear out the pages? No, this thing actually only has 3 pages of video game stuff. What in the hell? It doesn't even make any sense. The Super Nintendo was, look, this was the year 1991. This is the fall winter of 1991. It doesn't even make any sense. The Super Nintendo had come out in 1991. In fact, 1991, the fall of 1991 is where we got the Super Nintendo for Christmas. It should be just, that should be like the thing that they're main selling in here is the Super Nintendo. It's the newest, hottest gaming console out, and they have nothing on it? That makes no sense. I can't even wrap my head around that. But whatever, let's take a look at what is here. Hey, I'll give them credit. They're showcasing one of my favorites, Gremlins 2 on the NES, so good job. Let's see, we got Turtles 2, wait a minute, hold up. California Raisins? California Raisins didn't even come out. Wait, what the hell? $44.95? Did they actually sell the game? What? California Raisins, it was a game that was in development for a while, and it got really close to being released, but it actually never got released. Apparently Sears didn't get the memo that it got canceled. So they listed it for sale here. I wonder how many unsuspecting suckers got suckered into buying it. Obviously, I would assume that they would get a refund, but I just kind of find it very funny that you could have actually bought a game that never actually came out here in 1991 in Sears. Very interesting here. So it sounds like we have a pretty good deal here listed. Basically $15 for certain games. Let's see what they got listed. Oh, Castlevania 1. That's a pretty damn good deal. Hoops. Okay, so they have Hoops for $14.95 and also Silent Service for $14.95. Literally the most common NES games that you can find at flea markets today. If you go to any flea market and you find no games, you're still going to find a Silent Service and a Hoops. So what happened? Did both of these games just sell extremely well because they were so cheap? People just snatched them up because they were like, well, we need some more NES games and these are real cheap. Let's get them. So Hoops and Silent Service pretty much became a part of everyone's NES collection, and now they're everywhere. I think that's a pretty good theory. I think that's actually probably what happened. Now we're looking at swing sets. This one's up. This one's over. So this one kind of sucked. The 1991 Sears Annual. It kind of sucked. They didn't really put a whole lot of effort into that one. I'm always looking for these things. Whenever I'm out, if I come across something like this, I'm always going to try to pick it up. I want to see some of the JCPenney ones because those are the ones I remember the most. And then some of these, the really, really cool ones are the ones that have the toys. Unfortunately, none of the ones that I have do have toy setups. And when I say toy setups, these things are freaking cool. We're talking like He-Man, Voltron, we're talking Transformers, G.I. Joe, all the vehicles, Ninja Turtles. Usually the toy section is 4 or 5 times the size of the video game section in these things. Luckily, as a child, I was only blessed with one sibling, so there wasn't a whole lot of things that had to be bought for a bunch of kids like really big families have to go through. So it was just me and my sister. My dad was able to work his tail off. That was what he really enjoyed, was being able to provide a really big Christmas for us. So I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to where I was able to get a lot of the things I really loved as a kid. And plus, the family was big, but there wasn't a lot of kids in it. So they all loved to what little kids there were. And I was the firstborn, so I did get showered in gifts by everyone. In fact, I was the first grandchild of all my grandparents. So I was just showered in toys and gifts and stuff because that's what they like to do. So when these things came out in the fall, I was just circling my grandmother and my mom. She'd be like, "You circle what you want, otherwise we're just gonna get you whatever." And then they did that one year. I got pound puppies. I did not circle pound puppies in this thing. I did not do that. But even going back right now and looking at these things brings back so many memories. So whether or not you even care about Christmas or the holidays or whatever you celebrate, Hanukkah, whatever, I think the meaning of it all is this time of year, you know, it's not about the presents. It's just about not being a dick to your fellow man. Just be kind. Enjoy the time with your family. And if you're like me, reflect on the good memories you have of it. Because every time I go through one of these books and I remember all the awesome gifts and stuff that I got as a kid during Christmas, it's not so much the gifts now when I look back at it that warm my heart. It's knowing that my family, my dad, my mom worked so hard throughout the entire year to save up to get those things for us because they cared so much. And as an adult looking back, you see these things through different eyes and different mind frame. And so it makes me appreciate not the gifts when I look back at these things, but the people who gave them to me. So I hope you guys have a happy holiday, and if you don't celebrate this time of year, I hope you have a great day, a great regular day. So, thanks for watching, guys, and Merry Christmas. Oh, and by the way, I released an album. It's a follow-up to Christmas Robotica. The link is probably like right here. Actually, you know what? No, YouTube isn't going to let me link one of those. So it'll probably be in the description of this video. Merry Christmas.